Commander Zara Vex stood at the observation deck of her sleek Catherian warship, watching the small blue planet rotate slowly below. Her violet eyes narrowed as she studied the primitive world that had somehow managed to intercept 3 of her scout vessels. The humans called it Earth, and they had become an unexpected problem. Her silver skin shimmered under the bridge lights as she turned to face her tactical officer. The plan was simple: disable their communication networks, harvest their resources, and move on to the next system. Humans were supposed to be easy prey, barely beyond their own solar system. That was before Captain Jake Murphy showed up. Zara first encountered the human during what should have been a routine infiltration of their space station. She had taken the form of one of their females using advanced biomimicry. Her natural blue hair shifted to brown, her enhanced height reduced to match their average build. The mission required gathering intelligence on their defensive capabilities. Jake Murphy was not supposed to notice her. He was working late in the engineering section when she accessed their main computer core. Tall for a human with dark hair and keen green eyes, he moved with unexpected grace through the corridors. Zara had studied human behavior patterns for months, yet something about his movements seemed different. When he spotted her near the restricted access panel, instead of raising an alarm, he simply walked over with a cup of steaming liquid. "Coffee," he said, offering the cup. "You look like you could use some." Zara hesitated. Her briefings never mentioned this kind of interaction. Humans were supposed to be suspicious of strangers in secure areas. "I am conducting maintenance," she replied, using the cover story her intelligence team had prepared. Jake smiled, and something in that expression made her enhanced senses tingle with warning. At 0300 hours in civilian clothes without any tools. Her carefully laid infiltration plan began crumbling. Zara reached for the neural disruptor concealed in her jacket, but Jake was already moving. Not away from her as expected, but closer. "Before you do whatever you are planning," he said calmly, "you should know that I have been tracking energy signatures from your ship for the past 6 hours. Zara froze. That was impossible. Human technology could not detect Catherian vessels through their cloaking systems. Your stealth technology creates a small gravitational distortion. Jake continued, settling into a nearby chair as if they were having a casual conversation. "Barely measurable, but our new quantum sensors can pick it up if you know what to look for." This human had not only detected her ship, but had allowed her to board the station. Zara realized with growing alarm that she had walked directly into a trap. "What do you want?" she asked, abandoning her cover story. "To talk," Jake replied. "Your people have been probing our defenses for months. Taking our people, we want to know why." Zara studied his face, searching for signs of deception. Humans were supposed to be emotional and unpredictable, yet this one displayed remarkable calm for someone facing an alien infiltrator. "My orders are clear," she said. "Your species has resources we require. Resources like what? Minerals, energy. What could a civilization capable of interstellar travel possibly need from us?" The question caught her off guard. In her experience, primitive species never questioned the motives of their conquerors. They simply fought or surrendered. "You would not understand," she replied. Jake leaned forward, his green eyes intense. "Try me." Against her better judgment, Zara found herself explaining. The Catherian Empire was dying. Their home worlds were depleted, their population declining. They had become expert at identifying young civilizations with abundant resources and minimal defenses. "But Earth is different," she admitted. "Your people adapt faster than our models predicted. Every time we probe your defenses, you develop new countermeasures." "Is that why you are here personally?" Jake asked. The great commander Zara Vex, terror of a dozen systems reduced to sneaking around space stations. She stared at him in shock. "How do you know who I am?" Jake smiled again, and this time she recognized the expression. It was the same look her own tactical officers got when they had successfully cornered an enemy. "We have been monitoring your communications for weeks," he said. "Your encryption is impressive, but pattern analysis is one of our strengths." Zara felt the walls of her carefully planned mission collapsing around her. Not only had humans detected her ships and intercepted her communications, but this single human had systematically dismantled her infiltration without firing a shot. "This is impossible," she whispered. "Your technology level is centuries behind ours." "In some areas, yes," Jake agreed. "But we excel at improvisation, lateral thinking. making connections that others miss. He stood and walked to a nearby display screen, calling up what appeared to be detailed schematics of Cytherian technology. For instance, he continued, "Your faster-than-light drives use quantum entanglement pairs to navigate. Brilliant engineering, but they leave a detectable signature in subspace." Zara stared at the screen in growing horror. The schematics were not just accurate. They showed improvements to the basic design that her own engineers had never considered. "How?" she managed to ask. "We captured one of your scout ships 3 months ago," Jake explained. "The pilot was very cooperative once we explained that we meant no harm to prisoners of war." "Pilot Kess," Zara breathed. "He had been reported lost in the outer system." "Nice fellow," Jake said. "He was quite impressed with our medical facilities." Apparently, Cytherian military medicine focuses more on cybernetic replacement than actual healing. This was a disaster beyond anything Zara had imagined. Her invasion plans, her tactical advantages, even her technological superiority had been systematically compromised by a species she had dismissed as primitive. "What happens now?" she asked, reaching again for her weapon. "Now we negotiate," Jake replied, seemingly unconcerned by her threatening gesture. "Because while we have been studying your technology, we have also been studying your people." He called up another display, this one showing detailed analysis of Cytherian biology and psychology. "Your empire is not evil," he continued, "just desperate. Your worlds are dying, your birth rate's declining. You take what you need to survive because you see no alternative." Zara lowered her hand from her weapon. This human understood more about her people than most of her own commanders. "But there is an alternative," Jake said. "Partnership instead of conquest. Trade instead of theft." "The Empire would never agree to such terms," Zara replied automatically. "The Empire does not have to know." Jake smiled, at least not at first. Over the following hours, Jake outlined a proposal that was both audacious and brilliant. Selected human colonies would be established in systems rich with resources the Cytherians needed. In exchange, humans would gain access to advanced technologies and star charts showing safe passage through the galaxy. "Your people get the materials they need to rebuild," Jake explained. "Our people get the knowledge they need to expand safely among the stars." Zara found herself drawn into the planning despite her reservations. Jake had an uncanny ability to identify solutions to problems that had seemed insurmountable. More disturbing, he seemed to understand her own motivations better than she did herself. "Why? Are you doing this?" she asked as they worked through the details of potential trade agreements. Jake paused in his calculations and looked at her directly. "Because I have studied your service record, Commander. 18 systems conquered, but always with minimal casualties. Supply raids focused on uninhabited worlds. You fight like someone who takes no pleasure in war." "War is necessary for survival," she replied, but the words sounded hollow even to her. "For your people, perhaps," Jake said, "but not for you personally. You became a soldier because your empire needed one, not because you wanted to be one." The accuracy of his assessment left her speechless. In all her years of service, no one had looked past her reputation to see the reluctant warrior beneath. "There is another reason I am making this offer," Jake continued. "Your infiltration may have failed, but your presence here has given us something unexpected." "What proof that cooperation between our species is possible?" he said. "In the past 6 hours, you have shown more flexibility and creativity than our xenobiologists predicted. If we can work together on this small scale, perhaps we can find a way to prevent a larger conflict." Zara realized that somewhere during their conversation, her perception of humans had fundamentally changed. They were not the primitive savages described in Cytherian intelligence reports. They were something far more dangerous, equals. "The Council will demand proof of concept before approving any agreement," she said finally. "Then we will give them proof," Jake replied. "There is an asteroid field in the Kepler system rich in the rare minerals your people need. Human mining crews can extract them using techniques that will not damage the local ecosystem. And in return, access to your medical technology," Jake said. "Specifically your techniques for extending cellular regeneration." It was a fair trade, and Zara knew it. More importantly, it was the kind of arrangement that could be expanded if successful. "I will need to return to my ship to discuss this with my crew," she said. "Of course." Jake stood and handed her a small communication device. "This will allow secure contact when you are ready to proceed." As she prepared to leave, Zara turned back to face the human who had